Let's make some amazingly easy air fryer churro bites. So we're going to dive straight in and start making the dough for our churro bites. Let's add 150 ml of water to our saucepan, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and also 1 tablespoon of neutral oil. Now this is going to come to a boil really quickly over a high heat, and what we're going to need to do is just make sure that that sugar and salt is dissolved so that we have a hot clear liquid, and give it a quick stir with our wooden spoon. As you can see here, it is boiling furiously now. So we are now going to take it off of the heat and stir in 60 grams of all-purpose flour. Now the heat that's in that liquid is actually going to cook that flour off and make our dough for us. Traditionally, when you are making churros, if you follow this method, it is naturally vegan, and this is the recipe that is used for Spanish churros. So if you didn't already know, they are naturally vegan. Once that clumps together like so, it is ready. What I'm going to do is just pat it down a little bit and then let it cool for 10 minutes. So now that it's done that, I'm going to go ahead and start piping our churro bites. So I've just added a large star tip. I'm using a 2D here to a thick piping bag. Now I like this particular type of bag because that means that the heat isn't going to go through to my hand, because the churro dough is actually still fairly hot at this stage. And then I'm just lining a baking sheet with some parchment paper and piping 2-inch lines of our churro dough. I'm using a scissors to clean off the ends nicely, and then you just want to keep going until you've used everything. You should end up with about 18 to 20 churro bites with this recipe. Now let's get this sped up. So let's get those last few bits of dough finished off. Now my top tip, when you are squeezing the dough through the piping bag, if you actually push the piping bag into the inside of the tip, you can squeeze out those very last bits of dough. And there we go, there's 19 churro bites ready for us to air fry. Now what I'm going to do is turn my air fryer on. I'm going to set it to 360 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to set it for 12 minutes. Now what will actually happen here is I'm going to let it preheat for 2 minutes. This air fryer just doesn't take long at all to heat up. And then once it's at the 10-minute mark, we can go ahead and start adding our churro bites. You'll notice that I'm not overfilling this. I am leaving a little bit of a gap between each one. You're going to have to do this in 2 batches. And then before you put them in, give them a quick spray with some cooking spray. And then we can let them go ahead and fry for 10 minutes. Once they hit the 5-minute mark, you do want to give them a bit of a shuffle round. You can turn them over, just make sure that they are still pretty evenly spaced. You can see they're starting to go a little bit brown as well, which is perfect. And then pop them back in for the remaining 5 minutes. Now, whilst those are finishing off, we're going to quickly make our cinnamon sugar. So for that, we've used 100 grams of white sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Pop those in a bowl and give them a bit of a mix together with a spoon, and then once the churros are ready, we can go ahead and dip them in it. Now this recipe does make more cinnamon sugar that you need, but I'm pretty convinced that you're probably going to make more than 1 batch of these churro bites. So look how wonderful they look. They are lovely golden brown. You've got those nice ridges in them as well, and they are really crispy too. So whilst they are crispy on the outside, they will still be slightly soft on the inside. You could bake them for longer if you want them crispy throughout. You could bake them shorter as well if you want them a little less crispy on the outside. But the 10-minute mark I found was the perfect time to get that nice mix of crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. Then I'm just dumping the whole batch into our cinnamon sugar and tossing them around with some tongs. And you can see already they look great, don't they? They look like churros, but obviously just a little bit smaller. Now what I like about this recipe too is that because it doesn't make a huge amount of churros, you could actually just eat this whole batch yourself. I sure won't tell anyone if you do that. So now I'm just going to set those aside. We're going to pop our air fryer on again. Now you don't need to preheat it this time because it is still warm from cooking the first batch. So go ahead, add the remaining churro bites to the air fryer basket, give them a spray with that oil again and pop them in for 10 minutes. And if you're new to my channel, I should introduce myself quickly. I'm Angela from Bake Angel. All of the bake-alongs that you find on my channel will always be dairy-free as I have a dairy intolerance. Many of them are vegan as well. And if you check out the description underneath my videos, you'll find a link to the printable recipes on my website. So now that all of our churros are done, let's have a look at them. Don't they look amazing? And we're going to go ahead and dip them in some of my homemade vegan caramel sauce. If you haven't checked out that recipe yet, make sure you click the link above. It is a 3-ingredient recipe that takes no time at all to make and is the perfect accompaniment for your homemade churro bites. If you've enjoyed watching this bake along, why not think about clicking that subscribe button, commenting on the video below, and also sharing with your friends who I am sure will love to learn how to make their own churro bites. And if you're a fan of baking, check out this baking playlist and also this video for my vegan caramel sauce. Thanks for watching.